by the way, I'm wearing the Russian shirt tonight. Don't be bish, be Russian. Yeah, da. Okay, let's call it in. Our call center, what the frig? If this show ain't gonna work right, there's gonna be hell to be paid. Rock Talk Radio. Seconds. Mm.
BGE's installation of new digital smart meters is now underway in your community. New features of these meters will be introduced in coming months. To learn more about smart meters, visit bge.com/smartgrid.
Blog Talk Radio.
Immortality of the undead. What dark and hidden parts of our psyche are aroused and captivated by the legends of the undead, by the legends of the undead, by the legends of the undead.
Good evening, everyone. This is Jonathan the Impaler Sharkey.
This is Jonathan the Impaler Sharkey.
Speaking tonight about a very serious issue, Monsanto.
Speaking tonight about a very serious issue, Monsanto.
And the march that is coming up in a couple of days, this Saturday, which is worldwide. All major countries, with the exception of Russia, which disappoints me, as well as China, are the only two countries not doing this. Tonight I actually, for sure, know I have one guest involved with the march. They are from Tampa, Florida, and they'll be calling in shortly. Right now, I want to go to YouTube and let somebody talk to you, Scott Milton, about why he is marching. Here is Scott Milton.
Hi, my name is Scott Milton. On May 25th, people around the world will be taking to the streets for the March Against Monsanto, taking place in over 400 cities worldwide. I invite you to join us. While public awareness of genetically modified foods is growing, many of you might be wondering what this is all about. Well, first of all, GMOs pose a threat to public health. Scientific studies have linked genetically modified food to liver and kidney damage, cancer, and birth defects. And a recent study showed that GM corn is toxic to blood and bone marrow. GMOs are also resulting in higher levels of pesticides and herbicides in our food and in our environment. Some food is even genetically engineered to produce its own pesticide, which means the pesticide is actually inside every bite of the food and cannot be washed off. Monsanto's corn and soy plants are registered as insecticides, but these plants are not regulated and they have not been tested for safety. Scientific studies out of Europe and Russia show that rats fed genetically modified food die prematurely, yet food producers continue to put this in our foods and on our supermarket shelves, even in baby formula. And it's getting progressively harder to avoid. Most corn, soy, and canola is now genetically modified. According to the USDA, 88% of all corn and 93% of all soybeans grown in the US in 2012 was genetically modified. Virtually all the world's seed is now controlled by a handful of multinational corporations with Monsanto at the forefront. And under current law, the food patents allow corporations to own a crop and the rights to plant it, and to deny those rights to farmers who can't afford to pay royalties. Although Monsanto claims to be working to produce better food, studies show that most GMOs do not increase crop yields or the nutritional value of food. What Monsanto's GMO crops are better at is withstanding massive direct spraying of the company's own herbicides and pesticides, and an increasing company profits. Studies have linked Monsanto's herbicide Roundup to cancer and birth defects, so it seems that Monsanto is putting their own profit motives ahead of public health and environmental concerns. In fact, the European Union, Russia, China, and over 60 countries have already enacted laws to label genetically modified foods. And in a 2012 national poll, 91% of Americans said they wanted GMOs labeled. But the biotech industry has undue influence on the political process here in the United States and across the world. Monsanto spent over $62 billion in political lobbying from 2000 to 2012, and the corporation spent over $8 million last year to defeat California's Proposition 37, largely through a media campaign based on misinformation. Similarly, one argument the biotech industry makes is that we need GMOs to feed the world's hungry, especially in light of the projected population growth for the coming decades. But according to the World Food Program, the problem isn't a global food shortage. One of the principal causes of hunger is economic disparity. There are already surpluses of food in the world. The problem is that the poor of the world can't afford it. Evidence shows that GMOs don't increase crop yields, but they do increase the cost of growing food. Everybody in the world should have access to wholesome and affordable food. The way to solve this problem isn't to make seed more expensive and to prevent people from growing their own food without paying expensive royalties. Many GM crops now have built-in terminator technology, which means that plants are sterile and farmers have to buy new seed every planting season instead of replanting seed from existing plants as farmers have traditionally done throughout history. Moreover, GMOs threaten food security because they are monocrops that lack genetic diversity, leaving them vulnerable to the emergence of new pests and blights. With a growing world population, now more than ever, we cannot afford to gamble with the future of the food supply. Also, GMOs have been linked to the decline of bee populations and a phenomenon called colony collapse disorder, which threatens the future of all flowering plants. For these reasons and many others, I hope you will join us at the March Against Monsanto. By marching, we protest the policies and practices of Monsanto, raise public awareness of GMOs and genetically modified food, demonstrate to our elected officials that we care about this issue, and demand labeling of GMOs here in the United States so consumers can make informed decisions about what they are buying and feeding their families. Now, if you can't make it to the march, please show your support and join the millions marching online in the virtual March Against Monsanto all day long this Saturday, May 25th. And keep on marching. Keep the pressure on. Thanks to your efforts, more than 60 countries have enacted mandatory labeling laws for genetically modified food, and 19 U.S. states have passed laws restricting GMOs. Already in 2013, at least 37 GE labeling bills have been introduced in 21 U.S. states, with more to follow. Write your government representatives and tell them that you want GMO labeling. And vote at the checkout aisle. Our power as consumers is tremendous. Every time we buy non-GMO, we send a message to food industry executives about the kind of food products we want. When enough consumers show a preference for non-GMO products, food producers